businesses have become the most trusted institutions during the pandemic. Regular communications and keeping employees safe has been the cornerstone of every business, together with offering job skills training programs in order to adapt to digital and remote ways of working. The organizationally resilient company, in which talent faces a new engagement age, has been born. To discuss this, we are joined by Globant's Chief Business Officer for EMEA, Federico Pianovi, and Angel Sienz de Senzano, Country Manager for Spain and Portugal at LinkedIn. Federico designs and implements Globant's strategy for the EMEA region. Meanwhile, Angel is empowering LinkedIn's Spanish and Portuguese customers in their talent and skilling journey. He has held executive positions within Microsoft and is passionate about new cloud-based technologies and the massive and still untapped opportunity they bring to improve our society's welfare. Following this, we'll be joined by Globant's UK Managing Director, Stuart Denon. But first, please welcome to the Converge Europe 2021 stage, Federico Pianovi and Angel Sienz de Senzano.
Thank you, everybody. It's a pleasure to have you on board Converge. This is a space to share with our partners, friends, and business leaders what we have been doing for the last year to give a different perspective on how businesses and customer behaviors have been transformed. As Martin mentioned, this is a very special and challenging year for all. The global pandemic accelerated the changes and disrupted every industry. We have been working hard crafting what we believe are the new ways forward for companies in Europe. More than ever in history, today customers want a more open, transparent, sustainable, and personal relationship with brands in their digital life. For that reason, during the last year, we doubled down on the development of our studio model, creating new value proposition for clients and partners. For instance, we created the Sustainability Studio to help organizations couple their business and digital strategies with their sustainability ambitions. We also doubled down on our blockchain studio to guide companies through this new digital economy. We also launched the Smart Venue and Ticketing Studio to help event organizers, stadium, sport associations, and any organization that hosts visitors to give a much more integrated digital and physical experience to their customers. Digital Sales Studio to revolutionize the way traditional digital marketing strategies create value for the digital consumers and companies. All these new studios and value propositions add to the already impressive lineup of studios that span from digital strategies, experience, technology, and data, helping our clients find their own way of reinvention. A fast-changing world, we need to do things differently. At Globant, we continue to use technology and AI to augment organizations, their teams, and capabilities to face these new changes. During today, you will hear how this is already impacting companies, such as how the pharma industry is moving into an augmented pharma, creating meaningful digital experiences for the benefit of their patients and clients. How we are using AI to reinvent our own industry, and how a holistic digital sales strategy can create measurable value for companies shifting their business model to a direct-to-consumer model. Our ambition at Globant is to offer European companies, brands, and customers a new way forward for their digital ambitions. Have a fantastic Converge. Thank you. Such a pleasure to have you, Angel, here to discuss the future of work. Thank you for coming and spending some time with us during our event Converge.
Thank you, Fede, for having me here. True honor to be here with you, and happy to discuss something as relevant as the future of work.
Totally. So I wanted to start with, there's been a lot of things that happened during the last year, especially in businesses. In a way, businesses became like the most trusted institutions because they were in charge of keeping their employees healthy, safe, happy, at the same time that they were trying to keep their jobs by reinventing themselves in a way to keep those business going. So many things happen, but in your opinion, what are the main positive things that happen in the workplace during this situation?
Yeah, first, very good observation, because it's true that employees and individuals are really rating the companies as the most trusted entities during this pandemic, which is relevant, and it's a good thing, to happen. So there's many things that have been good or having had good outcomes because of the health situation, and companies have really understand. I mean, that some limits that we were putting ourselves were not really true. And for example, I mean, many jobs and roles that that were systematically thought with presence and with the need of constant and physical presence is not the case. And some other that were already flexible have found even new boundaries of flexibility. So that's providing new opportunities. It's also creating challenges, but it's a good thing to happen. Another obvious angle for this is the reach of talent. Mm-hmm. So with that situation, the consequence is that we are able to reach talent outside the geographical perimeter that mentally we had for the offices. It's something that some companies had by nature, and we have seen startups having very distributed models in terms of employees and talent, some other less. Now I think it's getting more mainstream to understand that the global pool of talent is global, is not only local. And that's a positive thing as well. I think there's many other positive things, but probably we will explore them through the conversation.
Yes. So given that situation, right, and now that companies are coming back to work in some cases, there's been a difference in the models and the engagements in which companies are offering their employees to go back to the office, right? Some companies are going to the extreme, let's say work from home forever. Other companies are going to the other extreme, let's go to the pre-pandemic situation. And some companies are still challenging themselves to see which is the right model. What are you seeing?
I'm definitely the third option. I think that challenging yourself is always a very productive exercise. I mean, since the beginning, there was, as you said, some statements like saying, no, work from home forever. And some other were saying, well, I mean, hold on. Maybe we don't need to make that decision today. Let's understand what's coming. And there's the second one. I mean, kind of ridiculous. I mean, thinking that things are going to be exactly the same as 15 months ago in terms of how we work, it's a little bit stupid. So yeah, definitely reflecting and understanding that we don't have all the information yet. We still need to see the experience of the people coming back. We probably need to analyze options. I think that here is very important, the conversation with the employee and understanding and listening to the employee, because under certain circumstances, there is a chance that we find a more perfect model, more productive model, and more both for the individual and for the company. And that's where we stand, understanding that. We believe that collaboration, cooperation and team building, discussing, reflecting, pushing back, it's easier sometimes if you do it live than through a video conference. I think that we all think so. So finding the balance, as many other things in life, is for me is the key here. And not all the companies are the same, so not all the companies will have the same recipe and the same balance, that's for sure. But I can tell you, all the companies are spending a lot of time now trying to understand which is the perfect mode, and hope that the majority of them can find it.
Yes, actually that was a very deep conversation within our company.
Sure.
You know, and at a certain point we decided to open all offices for people that needed to go to the office. You know, there are people that are being it's been very challenging for them working from home, so having a safe space within the office, but at the same time always looking to see how that model evolves and how that relationship with the employee continues to mutate during this time.
And let me add, for us in LinkedIn is super important, the office space. It's one of the employee benefits that we have. A good office space with good food, healthy food, a place in which they enjoy. And actually, even having the most flexible culture that you may imagine, the time we spent in the office was relevant, was big. Now it's going to change. Already, I mean, employees are already telling us probably my balance is going to be a little bit different. Probably my setup that I've built at home is good enough for me to have focused time here and productive time. At the same time, I will continue visiting customers. I will continue go to team meetings to the office. So this is changing. But for us, so everybody thinks like, no, for you, a digital company, this has been like kind of super easy. No, it hasn't. For example, we have a lot of young workforce in Dublin. They were enjoying a lot. Dublin is a fantastic city, by the way, and our office in Dublin is absolutely awesome and amazing. Suddenly it's closed, and they need to spend almost 24 hours in a lockdown in apartments, normally sharing apartments, 2-3 people. That is not easy. I've seen people making video calls from the bathroom. That's reality. That's reality, right. Especially for that community. And there's other communities impacted. So that asymmetry in the impact is also important, and also tells us that the answer is not in one stream, for sure.
100%. But one of the trends that obviously happened because of the pandemic is that the need for digital services and products accelerated massively, creating a big talent gap for companies. You know, how do you think that talent gap is being offset, adding the complexity of still working remotely and from home?
You really touch a very important point for us. That's one core conversation that we have in our offering and with our customers. So yeah, that talent gap and talent challenge, because if you're able to see the gap not today, but the ones that you're going to have in 6 months, in 2 years, it's even worse, even more scary. There's basically two ways, and they are too obvious. Sorry for that. To tackle them. One is obviously doing the right hiring, okay, and being smart, using digital tools. We offer some, there are some others, and there's analytics, and there's also an employer branding effort that the company should make. They should be able to attract, to find through analytics probably, and through tools, but also to be attractive. And that way you will have more options to close the talent gap. And the other one, and no less important, and believe me, all the companies, at least in Iberia, are really looking at it super in deep today, is by developing the workforce that we have. Internal mobility is crucial. It creates opportunity for people, loyalty, growth. So that internal mobility should be fostered and supported by a good development plan. So understanding how that development plan should be built and providing the tools, typically learning and training, but not only. There's also programs like coaching programs, mentoring programs. Right. So development in general can really fill that gap. And if you're able to find the capabilities and the skills within your company, I mean, you have a treasure there. Right. Because you keep experience, you keep affection to the company, which is important. So there's a lot to gain in that development effort. It's not that it was not done before, but we're seeing today companies way more focused on that.
Yes, as a matter of fact, during the pandemic.
And I know you do it.
Yes, exactly. You know that we started using AI to try to predict when candidates, when looking at them through a camera lens, will be top performers within the company. That doesn't mean that they are the best at doing technology. There's other cultural things that we look for.
Of course.
And we try to use technology and AI to try to predict that, because at the end, we can close the gaps on the lack of knowledge on certain technologies, but the cultural fit, when you are doing extremely remote work, is much difficult to find. So I think that's an amazing insight. So connecting with this, right? We know for ages that culture is key for driving business outcomes and business results. Culture overall has been challenged during this time, because what we were discussing before, having the coffee in the coffee machine and meeting people and talking and spreading the culture of a company is different doing it through a Zoom meeting or any other digital way. So What do you think are the business impact of culture during this time?
I think the business impact of culture was important and is even more important today, as you were introducing. So yes, I like to understand. I always like to make the kind of a clarification of what that does culture means. So sometime I found a very good definition. I liked it and I adopted it. Is that culture is the way companies do things every day. Super simple, but simple things sometimes work. And yeah, the coffee example and how you collaborate is one, but there's some other. There's some other that are really reflecting who the company is, how the culture is, and definitely has been impacted because of the restrictions and limits that this remote working and always in front of a laptop and a video conference setting gives. So there's been challenges. We have seen very good examples of how strong culture tenets were helping that we're helping people to cope with that sometimes tough situation. But here the main reflection on my side, Fede, is that I find a lot of companies trying to kind of stick to culture. No, I mean, there's probably certain values that we want to keep that normally are foundational and we want to keep them. But culture, if we define it as how we do things, must change. Slightly or dramatically, I don't know, depending on whom, but must change. And sometimes we need to be more humble, understanding that and recognizing that and trying to emulate the ones that are doing the best on that space. And believe me, we are looking into companies to really get inspired on how things are done. Of course we're doing. I think that everybody needs to do. And I think that the cultural thing sometimes provokes a little bit of fixed mindset in terms of, no, this is our culture. Well, maybe you have to change it for the good. For good and to have more happy customers, happy employees, and more productive business. That's my reflection, and I really, really encourage people to understand that. And there's no bad in looking at the best doing things and trying to do it similar. Normally, it provides good outcomes as well. But yes, culture and values and how that inspires the people and encourages the people and gets the people engaged with the company, it's a super critical angle for business outcomes. We truly believe in that.
Angel, so what you were saying about the culture and the values, and given the context that, as we said at the beginning, many companies really stand out for their employees, taking care of them, making sure they were safe. Did you see a change in the trend on how people were moving from companies, or that's still the same as before the pandemic?
Super good question, Fede. So yes, first let me advocate for the companies because they made a super big effort to adjust in many ways, and actually to also echo how good the technology worked. There's no bigger stress test than the one that happened in March last year, and both telecommunications, software, etc. was brilliant. Was brilliant. Big call out for that. So then, yeah, I think that the first impact on employees was very positive. In general, companies are really taking care of me with resources, but also with care and with understanding needs, etc. So that was very positive, and that probably created a higher sense of belonging and probably more stickiness to the companies. Then, in any crisis, there's always some fear to move, and the kind of now the last in, first out. If I change roles, or companies can happen. So there was a little bit of breaks on that, and actually the companies were telling us it's not for us. It's not being as easy or as possible as normally to find the right talent. But things are moving on, and I think that today what is happening is that after all these, employees and individuals are probably evaluating companies as much as the other way around. And I think that the employer branding, the employer brand in these times is as important as it's been always been. And I think that people probably are more eager to understand where the best options are. It's obvious that there's an industry piece here as well. There are industries that are moving up quicker and quickly, and some other that are being more impacted. So that angle is important, but as well, I think that the people is eager to move. We are, as today, not seeing any ralentization on the contracting and on the move of the talent. So I would call out again as an opportunity to companies to find the best talent or to include the best talent in the company.
Okay, and so talent is eager to move, and you're seeing that. But what sort of physiognomy has the companies that talent is looking for, right? What are the new sort of companies that the new, more digital talent is looking in the marketplace? Is there any indication of a physiognomy in particular or not?
I truly think that the companies that are getting the best out of this situation in terms of talent retention and talent attraction are the ones that are showing themselves are more agile to adapt to the situation and to, why not, take advantage of the new market. And that's visible. That's something that you read on papers, you see the moves, you see acquisitions, expansions. So that's one angle. There's an obvious one, that the talent is looking for flexibility. Right. We have all learned a different level of flexibility for the good and for the bad during this pandemic, and it's a fact that employees are asking for that. And we may like it or not sometimes, but it's a fact and a reality that we need to address. So that's an important angle as well. And finally, I mean, technology is all around, and this situation has demonstrated as well that with the technology, I mean, the technology asset is important no matter the industry you are. So I think that's showing the capacity and the capability of adopting technology, being ahead of the curve on how we use AI for business. I mean, not for investigation, which is fine as well, but for business, how our company, I think that people is super smart and can definitely, I mean, understand who is doing right and who is really taking the waves and following the right trends. And that's very important. For us, as you may imagine, a digital company, and you are also very much into it, the possibilities that AI is bringing to the business, to the society are massive. And there's an obvious caution on understanding how to do it well and how to do it right. But I think that we are just scratching the surface, and what we're going to see in the following 5-10 years in that end is going to be amazing.
Yes, actually, what we call augmented organization is the way we foster, the use of AI to augment the capabilities of the people that we have. There's been a fight back and forth whether AI is good or bad. We truly believe that with AI we can augment the way we work, the experience that the employees have with us, and obviously how we extrapolate that to our customers.
But even in business models, sorry to interrupt, but in our business model, without AI, we would be lost. I mean, there's so many information, I mean, in our network, so many things happening that if you are not able to apply AI to really understand what is the kind of value or what is the kind of elements that you need to put together at a certain moment to bring value, for the members looking for content, for the recruiters looking for candidates, and for the candidates looking for jobs, and as well in the advertising space. I mean, without AI, this kind of digital platforms would be, absolutely impossible to manage. Would be useless. Actually, you would find information that you don't like, that you don't need, that you don't give value, and the second day you will be out and never visit again. We're trying to do the opposite. So for that, and if you apply that, I don't know, in industrial companies, working in all the IoT and edge space, people can see that. Right. Can see that and can see who would normally prevail in every sector. So that's a very important angle as well to attract and how the people is looking at the companies and at the market.
Right. And one of the things that we are seeing a lot, it's people are not only looking for companies to give them a job, but also understand the purpose of the company. And this is fostering, it's difficult to call them new values, right? Because in the last years we have been experiencing a very deep push for diversity in companies, right? I think this is not a new value, but we have been expressing that much more openly on how that's going in each of the different companies. So which ones do you see as the values that companies are pushing more out to the open for attracting that talent that is eager to understand more around the values of different companies?
Very good question. Not an easy answer. So I will leave the diversity and inclusion piece for the last. So I would say that I tend to think that some of the values are not that different to the ones that we had before. I tend to think that. But it's fair to say as well that probably some of them have surfaced as more important in these times. I think that going back to the new ways of work and the new models, I think that it's super important here to give the priority to the responsibility of the people, how people can be responsible and accountable for their jobs, their tasks, their objectives, and their targets. It's obvious that we are no longer in an environment in which the manager is going to be looking over your shoulder to check if you are, playing cards or you are really working. That's not the case. So I think that that kind of responsibility and autonomy is very important. Some other, keep constant. Like being open, being honest, of course, being able to do sacrifices. It's not efforts. We do efforts every day, but sacrifice means you lose something.
Right.
You stop doing something that you like, or whatever. Like in the times we needed to go to work abroad or to travel a lot, you miss the family. That kind of sacrifices are still values that are valid. Why not? But yeah, there's new ones that are probably prevailing. In the diversity and inclusion piece, and this is a conversation that we have a lot, and I'm super proud to be in a company that is really taking that seriously long time ago. So there's many people ask me, is this a trend? Is this like a makeup that companies want to do? I say, well, hope is not, because the value of diversity is, of believing and fostering diversity, is not just to market it and to say we are diverse, we foster diversity. You need to find in diversity as well a competitive edge. And the same as we were talking for culture. If you are able to create diverse teams and diverse environments, you will probably be more competitive. You need to learn how to do it, but you need to practice it. Unless you have the experience of operating in a diverse environment, you will never visualize how that works. And I have my own example. I've been in sales and marketing through all my life. By chance, in 2014, I have the chance to work with a very, very technical team, super specialized technical team at Microsoft. Brilliant people, brilliant engineers. I'm not an engineer myself, and it was like a challenge. Like, wow, what I'm going to add to this team, and how we're going to survive together, how we're going to cope. That was for me an immersion in diversity. And I'm not talking about gender, not even about styles, talking about all the components that can bring diversity. For me, that was super eye-opener. Before that, you normally, and I always put the same example, the first time you hire someone, you hire the one that is more similar to you.
Right.
That's mathematical. That happens. And the second probably as well, and the third probably as well. So then, if you are able to test, and you have the chance to experiment and to experience someone really different, that can make some magic and some alchemy on how teams work, then you begin understanding that diversity is not a theme. Is not it's something that works towards productivity and competitiveness. So I think that is more than a trend. For whatever reason, for the good reasons or not, companies are looking at that more seriously, and I'm happy about that. And I think that it gives us a panorama and a roadmap of improvement, and improvement on inclusion as well, on how different collectives and communities that have more difficulties to get to the labor market. In Spain, typically the youth and the young people and probably the senior people as well are having a tough times. I think that gives as well opportunities of diversity. If we by chance can put that together with an evolution in the, let's say, in the way we contract and in the way we cooperate, and I think that LinkedIn has something to do there. I think we can find a path to really improve how that diversity can be included. Again, in a very productive way, because companies want to earn money, and that's fine. Can that be an angle of really progress in society? We are very, very passionate and obsessed, I would say, about inclusiveness of those collectives that are, in general, but I would say especially in Spain, in more danger of exclusion. So yeah, values keep similar. Some of them are more current, if I may.
Yes, and you mentioned something that for me, what we are seeing at Globant, it's you mentioned about responsibility, and more the talent that is wanting to engage with the company wants to share the same values with the company that they have as their own in their personal life. And we're seeing the responsibility of companies translating to their sustainability strategy to be a key metric for people to wanted to join those companies. Before at Globant, we were working with many companies on defining their business and digital strategies, right? Now, it's more and more common that companies come to us asking for how their business and digital strategies match with their sustainability ambitions, because it's not only for telling the market how ambitious and how they are progressing toward to be an actual very sustainable company, but also because they want to share that with the talent that they want to attract to be able to capture this new talent that is looking for many more things than just a paycheck at the end of the month, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's no question that taking sustainability seriously is a good progress, and it has happened. It's happening, and I think that we should all feel good about that. And companies are doing, and we are beginning to see those chief sustainability officers happening. I joke a little bit because it's a little bit crazy. The C-level is getting bigger and bigger lately, but I mean, now seriously. So this kind of bidirectional way of looking at the working contract is not new. So we've been observing that in the talent trends globally since some time ago. So the individuals are no longer only evaluated and accepted in an organization. It's bidirectional, sorry. So the employees are also looking at those companies. As I was saying before, understanding how they are moving on in their business space, but as well which kind of values and commitment to the society are they making in many ends. And sustainability is probably one of the elements that have been arising as more relevant and important. There's no company without a sustainability effort or project or strategy, and I think it's for the good. I mean, I have no doubt that this will help our evolution as society to be at least more consistent to the environment and to trying to how is it said, to leave a good planet to our sons and grandsons. So well, of course, I mean, employees are looking at companies and evaluating them as the other way around, and that's good. I think that's progress as well.
Angel, it was a pleasure to have you. Thank you so much, and I hope everybody enjoys the session. And thank you so much for joining in.
Hello and welcome to the UK. I'm Stuart Dignan, I'm the MD for the region. And let me tell you, the UK is one of the most exciting areas in the Globant family. Despite the challenges of Brexit, Boris and COVID, the UK market is incredibly buoyant, and we have many clients reaching out to Globant for help and advice on how they can accelerate their digital journeys. So looking at the broader market, during 2020, investment in tech companies in the UK was at record levels, 15 billion from VC alone, placing the UK third globally, just behind China and the US. And we've also seen the proportion of foreign investment rise, IPOs have gathered pace, and there's now 7 new companies that have made unicorn status. So all of this tells us that the UK is still one of the most important global technology centres. And at Globant, we're investing heavily in the UK as well. We've doubled in size over the past 6 months, and we plan on maintaining that pace. And it's terrific to see so much talent joining Globant here. We've got some of the brightest and the best, and that's important because it allows us to differentiate ourselves from others in terms of the quality and the cultural alignment that we bring to our clients. So let's take a little bit of a look at some of the stuff that we're doing with our clients. It's fantastic to be working with a major auto manufacturer, helping them adapt to the rapidly changing consumer market. And obviously that's been accelerated by COVID. And it's how they reimagine how you buy a car from anywhere at any time, seamlessly, but then preserving the magic and the richness of making a major purchase. We're helping a global retail bank fundamentally transform how they engage with their customers and respond to a rapidly changing marketplace in terms of customer expectation and the emergence of serious challenger banks. And in healthcare, we've enabled a global pharma company to comprehensively improve the patient journey, meaning that it's easier for the patient to follow complex treatment plans and giving clinicians real-time, high-quality data to make better decisions faster. Each of these three examples have one thing in common: how technology improves the experience of the end user. Sometimes the changes are simple and fast, but most of the time they're complex and difficult. Helping organizations make wise investments to reduce their technical debt and help them become agile and nimble. And that is a key component of becoming an augmented organization. And I'm sure you're going to enjoy hearing much more about augmented organizations over the next few sessions. Welcome to Globant.
Thank you, Federico, Angel, and Stuart. It's almost time for a short comfort break. I saw a statistic the other day which said that only 16% of your creative ideas happen when you're sitting at your desk. So in a minute, I invite you to stand up, stretch, look out the window, go make yourself your beverage of choice. I'm a little bit partial to a yerba mate at this time of the afternoon, un poco di caffeina, because when we come back, we're going to be hearing about organizational resilience, sustainability, and much, much more.